superiority continued. Yet the Allied airmen had to go on flying over the line, provide intelligence for their army, as they prepared for their summer.
Commanders and the pilots knew that they didn't have the equipment, they didn't have the best tools for the job, and yet they were able to contribute to a major offensive, knowing that the Germans had better equipment, and some sort of better tactics at the time. So it's this tragic inevitability of at the time that they couldn't really do anything about.
We got into a dogfight this morning with a new brand of falcon. They were good. This fellow just hung right there and sprayed me with lead like a hose. All I could do was walk the tracer and kick my rudder from one side to the other to throw his aim on. Many of them lost his work throughout the war. British pilots knew that they were a tiny fraction, ever-rising death toll on the ground. And the life of the airmen, although often short, was at least one of relative luxury compared with the lot of the TVIs, the poor bloody infantry, in the trenches. When we were flying about 17,000 feet, it gave me a wonderful feeling of exhilaration. It was sort of, I'm king of the castle. We were up there, we were right out of the war. I'd been in the infantry, we were always loud and filthy, dirty, very often hungry, whereas in the flying corps, it's gentleman castle. Private pilots are very strange because they face death on a daily basis. Then they fly back to their airfield, and then they have a full mess with food, decent bed to sleep in. It's quite lovely sitting back on patrol in the evening, knowing your day's work is done with the western blade, the east signaling mysterious. So here I am, all alone in the gorgeous May sun, and the little finicky breeze making things so nice. I can just hear the guns going, far back the war seems very far away. Thank God. We are under canvas and have our mess in the open in a small wood. It's very nice when the weather is hot, but that's illegal. Although we are within range of the shell fires and big guns, at present you would not know there is a war. I'm sitting in a wood having a fun, and the only things to be heard are the machine guns shooting away in the distance, and the mess gramophone. We live well. We went down to Boulogne and got an ice cream freezer. We're the only outfit at the front that has ice cream for dinner each night. In the midst of life, we are in debt. And in the midst of debt, we managed to have a hell of a lot of fun. Rum cocktails, chicken livers on brochette, champagne, strawberry ice cream, and Napoleon brandy. They were basically normal young men who got be killed any day, and they lived their lives with thought. A lot of them did suffer badly from nerves as time went on, and they could see their death approaching. The heat of the monsoon days was terrific. Now flying out in May. All these facts persisted to play upon the temperament of those who fly. I can remember my bedroom companion self-writing, and how each of us lay awake in the darkness thinking of dawn patrol the next morning. At last we could bear it no longer, and admitted a mutual feeling of terror and foreboding. We lit the candle, and after that felt a bit better, and somehow got through that night, as we had to get through the next day. One pilot was tormented by nightmares. The face would appear vague and dead. It would slowly come nearer till it seemed as if face and he were literally nose to nose, staring at each other. That's all. Just staring. Then he would wake up and sleep slowly. Who was it? Was it an annihilation? Or was it an annihilation?
I'm the world's worst comedian. I'm hearing you're home having a pretty spectacular Tuesday. But I don't notice the loose rug at the top of your stairs. And that's about to become an issue for me. You got the wrong home insurance coverage? My medical bills get expensive. Get off it. And good home. Make sure you have the right home professional. Talk to Allstate. Tonight on the military channels, an officer in a movie. This new British landing is already in a war far from home. Treating this, come back home. Mel Gibson and a band of brothers face the fight of their lives. Throughout the whole song, it's told by the good and an unforgiving battle against the war. Don't miss Peter Weir's World War I classic, Gallipoli. Enjoy the new diet of this former Army Specialist Corps and pro football legend Rocky Blyer. Don't miss an officer in a movie. Tonight at 8 on the military channel. Yes, children come from the ocean in jail. There is no season. There is very bad. I get 1250. No machine allows me to go farther, faster, and make it to break down so you wouldn't matter how you got all. I'm going to get out of here. I'm Will Willis, former Army Ranger and Air Force Airman. In fact, the street, Canadian fire power, is bigger combat test. No machine gun has made a greater impact on the world than the M2. It's a high-caliber insight from a top military expert, and this is the most iconic weapons in history to the test. Henry Shrapnel, a British artillery officer in the 1700s, intended for his cage shot. This well-known new episode of Triggers, weapons that changed the world. The Abrams tank, all new by CSN, only on the military channel. Even the apparently invincible Red Baron, though he may have been free from fear, was not immune from death. It was a prospect rumors seemed to welcome. A glorious death. Fight on and fly on to the last drop of blood, and the last drop of action, to the last beat of the heart, and the last kick of the motor. A death for a night. A toast to his fellows, friend and foe. Ironically, the Red Baron, the greatest ace of them all, would be shot down not by an Allied plane, but by a machine on the ground. While he ruled the skies over the land, even more extraordinary air war developed over the sea. Early in the war, the Germans had the advantage. Their Zeppelin airships enabled them to rain right across the North Sea. The British responded with their own airships, submarine scouts, fly at nearly 50 miles an hour, and like the Zeppelin, its key purpose was reconnaissance. Britain was under attack by the British. They had to be stopped. In early 1915, the call went out throughout the Navy for volunteers to form a new naval air service. Sydney came round all the battle cruisers in the Grand Fleet, saying that each captain was to recommend one young about 18 or 20 special service. When we got to the Admiral, we were escorted into the room of the first sea Lord Bishop, whose opening remarks were, "You young gentlemen are going to fly. You'll probably be dead within a year, or you may get the Victoria Cross. But you've been selected to start a new airship service. It will be the counter to the U-boat menace you have in this war. You don't want to fly, and don't tell me in 48 hours' time." Few hesitated to join up and fly high. To fly a ship on a nice day was a really delightful experience. One felt the air was entirely one's own. You could go where you liked in ship's range, fly at what height you liked, what speed you liked. British airships grew ever more sophisticated. As well as spotting German targets, they set out to bomb them. But it was crude technology. We could keep up long hours, but our bomb capacity wasn't very great at all.
hardly the ideal comfort killers. What the Navy needed was more heavily armed and faster aeroplanes which could operate at sea. The prime reason remained the need to counter German U-boats. In 1915, Germany had declared unrestricted U-boat warfare and was attacking any merchant ship heading for Britain without warning. Hundreds of ships were being sunk. Britain, which depended on trade to survive, was under dire threat. Though U-boats attacked from underwater, they still had to spend most of their time on the surface. Planes would be the best way to stop them, and could also help to sink them. But finding a way for the Navy in these early short-range planes to cover wide tracts of sea presented huge technological challenges.
Royal Naval Air Service's greatest contribution to air warfare was pioneering the use of aircraft at sea. Early on in the war, these airplanes would be float planes.
The wheels of these planes had wooden floats attached, so they could take off and land on water. But getting the early float planes into the air was a pain to do.
Get a float plane onto the surface of the sea with a snobber ship and use a crane to lift it over the side. Uneconomic, wastes time, wastes energy. Getting from the surface needs an awful lot of power. The floats are heavy and difficult to slow the plane down.
Then to get the plane back on board, the same process. Landing the plane on the sea, stopping the ship and hoisting the plane up had to be reversed. It was an amazing sight. Lead seaplanes, vacuously aeroplanes on a visit to the seaside, which is put on huge galoshes in order to see stars. On seeing one pass overhead, it was easy to say, there she goes with her big boots on. How to transport the seaplane was every all the war in the nation. This was an early Russian plane. The Russians saluted, tow their planes at sea behind. All very well when it was calm, hopeless in a storm. As for the Germans, their fleet hardly ever put out into the open sea, so their seaplanes were launched from slipways. As for pilots of every nation, the flying was chancy. What worried me the most was the thought of being seasick. I had seldom been afloat apart from one or two rowing boat trips to the seaside, and I imagined that everyone except harbour and sailors was automatically ill whenever there was any smell. After running a very long way, we pulled back all night, and with any luck, lumbered into the air, and staggered around for 300 or 400 feet. Although on occasion my notebook tells me we actually reached 1,200 feet.
I'm Will Willis, former Army Ranger and terrorist national security. Big firepower and bigger combat vets. Your machine has made a greater impact on the world than the M2. Get the high caliber insights from top military experts, and these are the most iconic weapons in history to defend. Henry Shrapnel, the British artillery officer that President Hunter invented for the K shot.
Well, on all episode of Triggers, weapons that changed the world. The Abrams tank, only Wednesday at 10, only on the Military Channel. Meet Jill. She thought she was your senior doctor, and she might have, if not, sorry. The identity thief stole Jill's Social Security to open credit cards, destroying Jill's credit and her dream of retirement. Now meet Amanda. With a swipe on a debit card, she wants some gas and an all-expense-paid trip to Hawaii with Ben. Ben is the identity thief who used a device on his scanner to steal information from her card to open a Rogers account. Every year, millions of Americans just like you learn medical personal information in wrong hands could wreak havoc on your life. This is identity, and no one must stop it better than LifeLock. LifeLock offers the most comprehensive identity
protection available. Ordinary credit monitoring services tell you after your identity has been stolen. They may take 30 days to alert you. Too late for abandonment. With LifeLock's 24/7 proactive protection, Jill would have been alerted as soon as they noticed an attack in their network before it was too late. And LifeLock's bank account takeover keepers would have notified Amanda in time to help protect her money. LifeLock guards your social security, your money, your credit, even the equity in your home. While Daddy can be completely stopped, no one protects you better than LifeLock. And LifeLock stands behind them with the power of their $1 million service guarantee. With so much to invest and nothing to lose when you call LifeLock right now and try 60 days identity theft protection risk-free. 60 days risk-free. Use promo code ONGUARD. Order now and get this document shredder. A $29 value free. Call 1-800-939-0778 or go to lifelock.com/OnGuard to try 60 days of LifeLock identity theft protection risk-free and get a document shredder free. Call 1-800-939-0778 right now. With DirecTV, you can watch your favorite team in crystal clear HD. Even listen to your hometown announcers, no matter where you live. Preview of the 8 live games at once on the same screen, or see the biggest plays across the league on one channel. MLB Extra Innings delivers all of this now for the lowest price in 5 years. Call 1-800-GET-SPORTS, because when it comes to America's pastime, all eyes are on DirecTV.
If you make the international call, Product World gives you unlimited calling around the globe and in the U.S. Call 800-398-6523. Then call India, all of India, or Brazil, all of Brazil. In fact, call all corners of over 60 countries from your home phone and mobile. Unlimited calling around the world with visual voicemail, three-way calling, and more. Don't wait. It's just $9.99 a month for the first 3 months. Plus, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call 800-398-6523 or go to Vonage.com and start saving. Vonage. Sounds good.
Sometimes, our game changers really have to fight everything every step. Now, you can do it more than ever before. You never more footage. And first-hand accounts from the heroes who survive. And thank you on the front line for the world's most decisive battle with Dr. Warfare. Ultimate Warfare. A new episode Tuesday at 10, only on the Military Channel. The first British mass-produced seaplane was the Short. It was more than simply a spotter, as it could be armed with bombs. That added weight, and pilots couldn't always make it into the air. I taxied up before a full gallery, onto a sea of cars and mobile units. I think that the machine was unstick, not by a chunk. I squatted about on the darkened surface like a wounded duck for 20 minutes, until the water in the radiator was boiling and pumping like a Turkish bath.
These primitive seaplanes cannot operate off anything really other than an extremely calm sea. They can't take off or be recovered unless the sea is absolutely flat and calm. Obviously, in the North Sea, that doesn't happen very much.
A further answer to the U-boat threat was to build a much longer range aircraft which could operate from calm harbors. The flying boat came into being. In 1917, a flying boat sank its first U-boat, but their pilots had no backup.
Personally, I consider flying boat fighting was more prosperous than in carried out the French front. I say this because, added to the ordinary chance of combat, you had the long journey over the deserted sea, both before and after the fight. The North Sea is the master battle, while I've seen no chances would leave more the rule than the exception. And all those knew that you were engine failure or some trivial mishap, you had the ever-present chance of being drowned, and the smaller chance of rescue.
The real solution was to enable seaplanes to take off and land back on ship. Some extraordinary experiments began with the software.
When one was required to fly off, platforms could be rigged up
with sights on the turret right up to the end of the gun. With the gun at a certain degree of elevation, the total slope of the platform was slightly downward. That gave a run to the aircraft of about 75 or 80 feet. It was a great risk that the pilot would not get flying speed and would stall and fall into the water. But he would only miss the crest of the wave by not more than a couple of feet to judge the thing properly. It was an extremely hazardous operation. I used to watch these pilots with enchantment, with great admiration for their courage and skill.
The Ron Air Service was blessed with a great number of innovators, people who were mainly curious about what could be done with the machine. These that moved the Ron Air Service at Maritime Fire into a completely different realm because the inevitable result of these experiments was the development of the aircraft carrier.
In August 1917, a Sopwith Puff successfully landed on HMS Cure, a cruiser which had been converted to become Britain's first aircraft carrier. The first thing we had to do was to learn to fly on and off the river. I remember the captain said, "You may as well take a revolver and burn your brains out." You have to synchronize with the ship, with the plane, which is quite difficult. Whatever the difficulty, a new type of warfare has been developed.
By early 1980, Furious carried out the first carrier-borne raid. It got bomb the carrier using wheeled aircraft, bomb and destroy the Germans at the Cape of Tonga. And this is the pioneer of modern aircraft warfare on the sea. The aircraft carrier comes of age in this conflict.
At the same time, yet another technological breakthrough was happening on land. The birth of the heavy bomber. By the summer of 1970, Allied pilots on the Western Front had once again caught up with German technology. Now both sides were paying more attention than ever before to a new phenomenon the war had brought. Aircraft had been used for bombing from the outset, but now large numbers of older reconnaissance planes were being converted into bombers. Special bomb attachments were fitted, and by 1917 they were in regular use by the Allies. They came in a box, a half a dozen at a time, wrapped in cotton wool. We had no instructions, so we got the bomb, unscrewed the top, and when we wanted one of those detonators, I'd just say, "Chuck us a detonator, Charlie." I practiced bomb dropping by day and night in all kinds of weather, into and with the wind, and from all heights up to 2,500 feet. In the centre of the aerodrome, a large